Hello, welcome to a new episode on our podcast. And today we're going to speak about food security with some amazing product that we have here. I want to say hello to Dr. Ilan Samish. Hey, Ilan, how are you?
Good. Great to be here. Thanks for hosting me.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming. You're the founder and CEO of Amai Proteins, and you're going to speak about sweeteners, right?
I'm going to speak about designer proteins. The first designer protein which we have is a sweetener, is squalene. The first sweetener which can reduce 40 to 70% of the added sugar without compromising taste, health, cost, and sustainability.
Amazing. Everyone loves a sweet life, and I certainly have a sweet tooth. You can't see it because I wore a black shirt today. But speaking about, the problem, let's say sugar and sugar addiction, you might say, is some of the biggest problems in the Western world, right? Some of the biggest motives for obesity and for many other health issues.
So sugar is not some of the problems, at least in the area of health. There is no bigger problem we face than sugar overconsumption. According to the World Health Organization, men should eat no more than 9 teaspoons of sugar, and actually we can live all of our life without eating a single milligram of sugar. We make our own sugar when we need it. Women should have not more than 6. And today, actually, we consume about 3 to 4 times more than what we should. And it was only in 2017 when the Pure study came out in Lancet, 350,000 people monitored for 7 years, where it was found out that sugar is the main cause of the metabolic syndrome. Now, metabolic syndrome is a host of diseases and manifestations which we know. Obesity is the most known one, as well as diabetes, the most known one, as well as obesity, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, epithelial cancers, especially breast cancer, prostate cancer, colon cancer, and pancreatic cancers, and some mental diseases. All of these are fueled by sugar. So while in 2017, this was found out scientifically in a very accurate way, and for the first time there was a general consensus, it took a couple more years for the World Health Organizations and many other health policy organizations to put out advisories and guidelines to cut down on the sugar. It took an additional 2 years till now, where the world understands that this is the main cause of compromised quality of life from the health sector, especially diabetes, but also these cancers. And by the way, today there are more diabetic who are not obese than obese who are diabetic. While 80% of obese are diabetic, there are some obese who are not. But today you have a growing population of people who are not obese. They don't have the fat cells, but they are very diabetic. And this is a huge issue of quality of life and of life expectancy.
Definitely. On that note,
today, most of the world is taxing for sugar, and yet there's no alternative.
Yeah, and on that note, speaking about sweetening,
Squalene.
Okay, sorry. So talking about that, tell us a little bit about it. How and how does it help to solve this magnificent problem, huge problem?
So first of all, the point is that today there is no other solution. Today, above 30% sugar reduction, which is what is needed for sugar-reduced labeling, there is simply no solution. None of them ticks all the check boxes of health, taste, cost, and sustainability. And any market, if I would tell you 90% of the market is ruled by one product, and then many, many products fight over the other 10%, you'll tell me it's a broken market. That's what happens with sugar. Most of the market is sugar. All the sweeteners, sugar and sugar alternatives alike, are small molecules. Small molecules, when you swallow them, they are still sweeteners. They still activate the sweet receptor which lines our gut. They dramatically change the microbiome. They cause a pre-diabetic or diabetic response. They're often digested by the liver, excreted by the kidneys. We are a protein. And a protein is just a necklace of pearls called amino acids. We need amino acids for all of our proteins, and we don't know how to make 9 out of the 20 amino acids we need to get from food. So when our body sees a protein, very quickly, we proved it with our protein, it digests it to amino acids. So unlike all other sweeteners, which continue to be sweeteners when swallowed, in our case, in the mouth, it's a sweetener Once you swallow it, it's no longer a sweetener, it's just amino acids. We actually just finished the world's first clinical trial on a sweet protein, and we show no glucose response, no insulin response. We are the first sweetener which is not unhealthy for you.
Amazing. So let's talk a little bit about that because, from living and knowing diabetes person, it's a huge, huge deal having a sweetener without insulin response because this is basically the problem. So how does it happen? Can you tell us a little bit? How does it even possible?
Sure. So we don't need to invent things because Mother Nature already invented it. And in the wild, you have 200 sweet proteins, of which 7 are hypersweet, 700 to 2,000 times sweeter than sugar. The hypersweet proteins are mainly in the jungles. However, they're in very small amounts. They're used for seduction, for animals to come in. They really like those small berries. In our case, it's a serendipity berry. That's the name of the fruit and a protein called manolin. However, this protein is not stable, 45 degrees, and sometimes here in the UAE outside, it's 45 degrees. It simply loses its structure, just like boiling an egg. And when you lose a structure, it's no longer sweet. It loses its functionality. And also the taste is not perfect. It has some long taste, what's called a lingering taste. I came from academia, and after 19 years in academia, I published what became the #1 book in the field of AI CPD, computational protein design. Computational protein design, just last month, David Baker got a Nobel Prize for it. It's a method which allows us to design new and better proteins, which with different stability or other properties. So what we did is inspired by manolin, which is found in Africa, we made a version of manolin, which is still called manolin. We officially can call it manolin or serendipity berry sweet protein. It is much sweeter, double the sweetness. So we made the world's sweetest protein, and it is 50 degrees more stable. The next step is to take this protein, and instead of making it in a small serendipity berry, small plant in the jungle, which you cannot make by agriculture, to produce it using yeast in a protein brewery. And in this protein brewery, we are just like a beer brewery, except of two things. Number one, we do it with air. When you do it with air, you get no alcohol. Alcohol is a side product full of energy. We know what's a beer belly. So we do aerobic fermentation. And number two, after we separate the liquid from the yeast, just like you do in beer, the protein is excreted to the liquid. And then we simply filter out from the liquid our protein. We spray dry it. And then we have our business, which is to sell a white powder, which makes people happy.
Yeah, that's nice. And can be, going on a lot other directions. When we were coming here to the UAE, to a country that, or entire GCC area, basically, a country that the agricultural is a challenge and it's a problem. Where do you see the opportunity of things, really?
So you're thinking small, you're thinking GCC. For us, UAE is much, much bigger than GCC. For us, we made a strategic decision to have 3 countries where we have production. Today, we are producing in India. We just got a kosher, Star K kosher certificate, so it's already a product. We're working on the halal certificate. And in Brazil. Brazil and India are the 2 biggest sugar players, one the biggest producer, one the biggest exporter. But then the 3rd country where we want to have a significant production site is UAE. And the reasons are very simple. This is all economics. It's very simple mathematics. So number one, when you produce our protein using yeast, there are 2 main factors in the costing. One is the price of sugar and one is the price of energy. Energy here is relatively cheap. Actually, I just visited this week Al-Khalij Sugar. Al-Khalij Sugar is the world's biggest sugar mill. So 3% of all the sugar in the world goes through Al-Khalij Sugar, and from there exported well beyond the GCC. So we have through here access to a billion, a population of more than a billion, of Arabs, of Muslims, of others that the UAE exports to. Because energy here is relatively cheap, we want here to have a production site. The idea is that, number one, next to the sugar from Al-Khalid Sugar or someone else, we need the sugar, and sugar maybe is a little bit more expensive, but most of the cost is energy, and energy here is cheap. And we make it by fermentation, by microbial precision fermentation. I now said 3 words. First of all, fermentation. That's the oldest technology in the book from the Bible. I mean, whether it's wine, kimchi, yogurt, those are fermentative processes. Number 2 is precision. Precision means you add a layer of harvesting. You harvest from the fermenter your product. And last is microbial. This is not alternative meat, which is mammalian, which is much more expensive. It's just yeast, so it's very easy to do. So whether it is Dubai, Abu Dhabi, or somewhere else, the idea is to establish here fermenters of many hundreds of thousands of liters. We have here already a program we showed of over 1 million liters of fermentation. The product itself has very good shelf life, so it's very important also for food security. You can keep it in ambient temperature for, we did shelf life studies of well over a year, and most likely many years as a powder. It's totally fine. It's good for your health, and it's a source of sweetening, and 80% of the non-fresh stuff you buy in the supermarket has added sugar. So we can solve the metabolic syndrome, diabetes, cut down on cancers, and get a food security, and get a product that is easy to export. 1 kilogram of our product of swilling replaces 3,000 kilograms of sugar, 3 tons of sugar. Consequently, unlike sugar, where 180 million tons of sugar have to be shipped with a big carbon footprint, here it's very easy. You can put it on a plane, you can put it on a ship, but the amounts are so small that it's very easy.
And speaking about that, because we are here in the UAE, and you're an Israeli company, and you're here and you doing business, dealing with locals here, what do you think the role or the position of business making, of economical ties between Israel companies and the UAE companies and other parties? What do you see it, as a part of a process for a better Middle East, a better region?
So here, number one, the Abraham Accords, and I've been lucky to speak with some of the people who are actually behind the Abraham Accords. Sugar is a problem that has no race, no color. Everyone has this problem all over the world. More than that, Lancet showed that in the next 20 years, the 20 countries where you'll have the biggest growth in diabetes, more than half of them are Muslim countries. And for that, we have the bridge of the UAE. The culture we speak here, the business orientation we speak here, the ability to get to countries where I am more challenged to go to, especially as coming from Israel. The UAE is really a bridge. There is one connection between India, UAE, and Israel, and another connection between Israel, UAE, and the more than 1 billion Arab, Muslim, and other world where UAE has very good access to. And I think this is strengthening both the economy and politically this country, where you can have export from the UAE of a product that was developed by us. And at the end of the day, we focus not on a premium market, we focus on volume. Our patents are submitted in 53 countries. For us, most of the diabetes in the world, by the way, is in Southeast Asia. A country like Malaysia and Philippines is much bigger than the US as to a market for us. So we see the market here as a GCC and well beyond as an extremely important market in order to move forward. We want also to see the prosperity that is here also infused into Amai, and hope to have some investors from here. We already have investors from several continents together to move forwards at the end of the day to have a better life for the kids of all of us.
Definitely. And exactly to finish this interview on a sweet note, you brought us some things here and I can't wait to try them. Just walk us around, tell us what we're seeing, and let's have a go. I'm seeing a ketchup down there. I'm a huge ketchup fan, so it will be very interesting for me.
Ketchup actually has 13% of added sugar, or additional sugar coming from the tomato. This ketchup has 70% less added sugar and still has an amazing taste.
It's a very nice ketchup. I agree.
Nice ketchup. No, don't
No,
do
you
a
can't.
double dipping. Sorry. I'll give you, I'm happy you want again, but we don't do double dipping. And then I'll give you some peanut butter. Peanut butter is an interesting story because in peanut butter, what happened is that once we removed half of the sugar, it was too salty. We have 25 super tasters that come twice a week in order to taste what we do and make sure it's comparable to sugar. So we don't believe in sugar elimination. We believe in significant sugar reduction because at the end of the day, we love the delicious taste of sugar. So here, after we reduced 50% of the added sugar, we also reduced 50% of the added fat and 40% of the added salt.
The texture is very good. Like I really like, I'm really keen of the texture on peanut butter, and it's been spot.
Just after the peanut butter, you have to drink something. So we have here some iced tea, and let's
Podcast
raise,
mean we have
let's
here.
raise
Let's
l'chaim.
raise
Cheers.
l'chaim.
Prost.
For prosperity.
And protein sweetened iced tea. And last but not least, this is a chocolate which the world's best chocolatiers told us they have never tasted zero sugar chocolate, where 2/3 of the sweetening is us. And then as bulking and to round the taste, we also have a little bit of erythritol and maltitol. This is dark chocolate for you and for the family.
Nice. Let's open it. Now it's the part where I get trouble with opening those small bags. Yeah. Let's try it.
And next time I come, I want to see it with a UAE producer doing it here after we make swirling our white powder here in the UAE.
Yeah, very good chocolate as well. Everything here is spot on. So it was a really thoughtful and also tasteful interview. So Dr. Ilan Samish, thank you so much for coming, and I wish you and Amai Proteins all the best.
Thank you, Ur. I really look forward to strengthening our ties with the UAE and through the UAE with a huge population. I think the synergy between the business orientation, the economics, and the ability and the regulation, which is easy here. We already got regulatory approvals in the US and about to get in several other countries, and definitely here is the next place. We're looking forward to establishing here something big for production, distribution, and making a better world for all of us.
Definitely. I strongly agree with those words, and I think we all should be united in only one thing: never double dip, right?
Yep.
Only thing we should unite for. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.